This is a homemade broadcast radio production.
Whether your radio dial is set to music or news or talk, each could be offensive.
But when it comes to making waves on the air, dicey language and spicy topics are turning up all over the dial. If you're not a regular to this type of radio, here's a word of caution. You may find it explicit. You decide if Tampa Bay radio is blaring out airwaves or shockwaves. Turn on your radio and find wholesome family entertainment. Turn on your radio today and make your mother blush. Almost nothing is sacred these days when it comes to radio, except not losing the station's license. Radio personalities are pushing all the limits. You may find the language in this story explicit, but the Federal Communications Commission has never fined a Tampa Bay radio station. You be the judge. Are they airwaves or shockwaves?
I don't agree with all of it, but it's very popular.
Personnel, this is CVTS. Base vehicle pre-count operations will start on my mark at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Homemade Broadcast, episode 478, live stream / podcast, depending on when you're listening to this. My name's Will. This is my friend Anna. Hello, Anna.
Hello.
Greetings to you. What, you okay?
Yeah, I was wrapping a present, and sometimes I taper myself.
Oh, okay. You got your Bolt shirt on. Look at that. What was your thoughts on the game last night, Anna?
I spent probably about 5-6 days at the boyfriend's house, and I just ran out of clothes. And my boss, Bubba Love Sponge, made a similar comment today, like, "Hey, nice Bolt shirt. The Bolts won." And I just said, I didn't even know there was a game. I just pulled the shirt out of his closet and was like, I'm gonna wear this today. So it was actually just a serendipitous. But yeah, go Bolts. Apparently they won. So.
Yeah, he kicked some Canadian behind last night. The Toronto Maple Leafs got whooped up on, I think it was like 7-4 or something like that, something crazy. I guess, it's weird. I don't want to root against my team, but also when the Lightning are done, I'm back on the radio 5 days a week.
I forgot about that.
It's kind of like I don't want to root against them. I don't want to, jinx them or anything, but also it's like, it almost kind of takes me out of it because I don't have any, like, I want them to win the Stanley Cup. Obviously, I want my Tampa team to do well, but also I'm like, well, if they don't, then I'm back on the radio. So it kind of brings it back to zero for me. It's kind of taken away some of my fandom.
Yeah, but then it's kind of like a win-win for you. Where it's like they stay in, that's cool because you're a fan, and if they're out, then cool because you want to work and make money.
Yeah, or a lose-lose. You could look at it.
I was really trying to stay positive here, Will. Yeah,
that's not my style and my speed. No, it's more of a lose-lose because I really feel like I haven't really followed the team much this year because I'm not like a super hockey guy anyways, to tell you the truth. I do watch the Lightning from time to time, passively follow the team, but I'm more of like a football guy. Like I have to watch Bucks games, but if I miss a Lightning game or a Rays game or something, that's not going to be the end of the world. But yeah, it's kind of been like, I'm very, very aloof this year. Let's just put it that way. So it's kind of been a lose-lose overall. But anyway, welcome to the show. Tell your friends about it right now. We're live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, at HMBradio, and the Johnny B Show Facebook as well. Follow us at, you can follow me anyways. Anna's just completely done with social media. I'm very proud of her. It might be a bad move for her career-wise, but it's a really good move for her psychologically. And I'm very envious and jealous that you're able to do that. But you can follow me, home_made_man. Same thing with Instagram, HMBradio on Facebook. I don't have a TikTok. I'm not getting a TikTok. And I think I'm done. Like I'm capped where I'm at on social media. I'm not getting any more.
So.
No new websites. I'm too old. Like I'm a boomer on Facebook now. That's like I'm capped with Instagram and Twitter, and I just feel like that's where I'm comfortable. That's my purview. And if something new comes up, there's going to be like children on it, and nobody wants an old man on their social media site. So
right.
I'm good.
Now let me. You did give me a lot of compliments, and I just feel like the Jew guilt inside of me needs to come out because I can't accept compliments because yesterday, for example, it was a great day, but it was a very lazy day because I wasn't feeling right, and I'll explain why maybe later on in the show. But I spent a lot of time yesterday either on social media, and even though I've deleted everything, and this is the dumb thing about what I've done is that I deleted all the social media that I don't even really check. So the one thing that keeps me gripped is Instagram. I've
Mm.
deleted my personal. I really haven't been on it much in my personal Instagram at all since probably February of last year. But I manage because it's part of my job. I manage my show's Instagram. Well, guess what? I have access to on my show's Instagram. Everyone's Instagram. So
Yeah.
find myself falling into the same patterns. Now, granted, I'm on it like much less than I was when I had a personal one, but again, it's one of those things where it's like I was doing really, really well my first 3, 4 months of staying off Instagram. And then you're like, well, let me just see what so and so's up to. And then boom, Will, just like a relapse, just like I need to go back to rehab. You fall into old patterns and it's bad. And now I give myself credit for not being on Instagram, but then I'll watch like 30 minutes of YouTube shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Now at least with YouTube shorts, it's a little, at least the things I look at and have algorithmized, whatever. It's a bit more educational, it's a bit more intellectual, but still, it's like this addictive feeling where I have to keep going to the next one, going to the next one.
Yeah, I get those with like big booby girls, and my buddies send me those, and then it's like sports stuff, people falling, and then there's people like I like to interact with people, on Instagram and stuff, people that listen to the shows or whatever, but then they start sending me videos. I'm like, I can't watch all these. Like I can't. I have to do stuff, so I ignore a lot of them. And I hope nobody gets mad at me for that, but I see them because I have to. I'm one of those people that if there's a notification and there's a red bubble, I have to clear it. I have to get rid of it as soon as possible. I can't let it linger. So I'm going to see it, but I might not respond to it. And I probably won't even watch it, to tell you the truth, just because I got so much other people sending me stuff like, a couple close buddies. Those are ones you pay attention to, really. But there was a good one. Some guy sent me one this morning of, it was a very flamboyant gay man and some lady that were having a little chit chat. I think it was Andrew Quigley. I think that's who sent it to me. And she was yelling at him about something, and he goes, "You know what? I would love to stay and chat with you, but I can't." And tried to be really extra and like leaned back and kind of swung his leg when he's on the ground on his back, and he just ripped ass. And it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And she's like, "Did you just fart?" And he's just like, gives a snap and just, saunters off away. And I was like, that's really good. Like, actually, I should go back and give that one a heart. But I don't want to encourage don't send me anything because I can't watch them all. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's rare when someone sends you a good one. Someone sent me a really good one the other day that I had to share with a few people. It's this guy, and he goes in like it's like POV, and he goes into a porta potty, and on the door it says, "Have you seen it?"
I
Look
have
up
seen it.
to
Yeah.
see a D, and then it looks up and it just says the F word.
Yeah, the slur for homosexuals. It's very bad. Yeah, that one was really good too. My buddy Ben sent that one to me. So it's like there's so much crazy stuff that happens in the world too that's like real. It's like there's jokes like that are funny, and then there's just like real life of wild stuff that's just online that, and then you go, well, I don't know how much of that is fake. I'm sure some of it is, but it's nauseating and also and very entertaining at the same time. But anyway, 813-693-2124 is the voice and text message line. thehomemadebroadcast@gmail.com is the email. I'm getting kind of better at checking that. Not really, but I got a text this morning from one of the Johnny B Show listeners. If anybody listens to that show and listens to this show as well, Diane. she sent a message and she sent a picture of her quote unquote, this is not me talking, this is her Oriental veterinarian. She sent me a picture. He goes, he's a great man. And this was 4:54 in the morning that I got this message. And this was not, I didn't give her my phone number or anything. What it was is I did a skit, or not a skit, I did a game for the Johnny B show called Are You Smarter Than a Johnny B Show Listener? A takeoff of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Right.
And I asked her some questions and recorded them. And I did it from this line, this 813-693-2124, because I didn't want her to have my phone number because I was afraid she was going to send me text messages to my phone at weird hours and weird text messages, which she's done on this one. And she watches this too. So Diane, just so you know, it's I am getting your messages, but it's going to the HMB radio line and not my actual cell phone. But I don't think she cares. It doesn't matter. I do enjoy reading them though. And it was a very handsome picture of her veterinarian, her quote unquote Oriental veterinarian.
Her words, not yours.
Her words, not mine. Yeah. I don't really get that one though. I heard that's offensive. That doesn't make sense to me though.
What?
Saying's Oriental. I know that's like antiquated, but I drove by, I was in Pinellas Park the other day and there was a market and it was called the Oriental Market.
Yeah.
And there was, Asian people that own it. So they call themselves that.
Right. And and again, this is something I heard from the horse's mouth. I used to live with Chinese refugees. I think you know the story.
Mm-hmm.
3 different ones, by the way. 3, not 1, 2, but 3. So I got to know them and their
wait a second. By the way, you were participating in human trafficking. This wasn't, you had one, and then all of a sudden she brought her family over in some sort of crate, and then they lived in your home for, months and months at a time.
Well, that was actually the 3rd Chinese roommate I had. It was the first one. And then I always knew I was getting a new roommate when they would say, can my friend, well, that's not how they said it, but, can my friend stay for a few days? And then I went, oh, I'm getting a new roommate. And sure enough, they'd stay for a few days and they'd be like, well, I got to go back to China to renew the visa. And then they would just bait and switch. And then the next person would just take over their life, like their job, their bed, maybe even their clothes. Like it was pretty crazy. So with the 3rd Chinese person, I remember, and her English was the worst out of the 3, but she explained to me in so many words that she referred one day to herself as a yellow person. And I went,
oh, I don't think you're allowed to say it.
Yourself. And I remember being like, you just said yellow. Did I hear that right? She's like, yeah. And I go, is that not like, I don't know what the word I used was, but I was trying to say, is that not derogatory? And she's like, no. She's like, we call ourselves yellow. Like she was telling me, and I remember this, there was a Chinese man in the Olympics who was like a hurdler or something, like a sprinter hurdler. And when he like was even in the heat or when he won like silver, I remember her telling me like, we were so happy that a yellow man won a sprint race. And I'm like, you said yellow? She's like, we call ourselves yellow. And I'm like, mind blown. So much like the Oriental deal, there's a lot of things that we think are derogatory, but it's like, no, that's just the way it is. It's how they talk. So
yeah, I think it's kind of one of those things. It's like you can, if you're part of that group, then you can use those certain slurs, but if you're not part of that group, then you can't.
But here's the thing. I think that is actually determined oftentimes by people who are like part of the woke movement. Because maybe you've seen this video. I think it was like a PragerU thing where this guy dressed up like in a sombrero and a poncho, and he'd go up to a bunch of like white kids on a college campus, and he'd be like, "Is this racist?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's cultural appropriation." Da, 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 da. And then he went into like this Mexican part of town where like no one spoke English. He's like, do I look okay? Is this offend you? And he's like, no, you look good. Like, so he's like, oh, people who are not part of the group are the ones setting the rules for the group that they're not a part of. How weird is that? So I think it's kind of one of those things.
There's a text on the screen that I got from Diane right there at 4:54 a.m., by the way. picture of my Oriental veterinarian, the wonderful Dr. Tom Wang of Northdale Animal Care. Get a shout out there, Doctor. Can you read that? Is that Wang? Huong?
I would say like Hoing.
I think it's
But
Wang.
I don't know.
I think it might be like Wang. I'm not sure. I'm sorry, Tom. Dr. Tom. We'll just go with that. So there's a text from the beautiful Diane, making an appearance on the show today.
Now, was she referencing him during the show or something?
Yes, and we made fun of her because she said the O word.
Oh,
right. That's very antiquated. You can't use that. And then I kind of got her to. I was like, I used the example of the market that was called the O word market.
Yeah.
And so I didn't understand. And then I heard, well, you can call things that, because there's like rugs, right? Like rugs, you can call that, but not people. But I said, who says? And then somebody else called in. I think it might have been Bob Tuscan, and he said he looked it up and said that it's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's just like weird rules that somebody made up that's gotten into popular culture or something. I'm worried that my dad's gonna get murdered by the cartel.
Well, that's not good. What's wrong with him?
He's baiting people. So, well, since we're talking about stereotyping, kind of, I guess. My dad is involved in a firearms scam right now. It's very common. What they do is you can sell weapons, but it has to go through a FFL type of thing. And he's got this gun. He put it in a trade magazine or one of those, magazines where things are for sale. And he got a very convincing, letter from a guy who wanted to purchase this thing and sent over a shipping label and a form that you got to fill out for the ATF and all this stuff. And it all looked pretty legit, mostly like 90%. But I was like, I don't know, man. I got a bad feeling about this one. It just doesn't feel right. And so he decides to continue on. He gets a check in the mail for a very convincing check. But it's from a company. It's the company Quikrete. It's like a concrete company. If you go to Lowe's and you buy a thing of concrete, it's probably Quikrete.
Which I often do.
Right, of course. So I'm like, why would it come from Quikrete though? But it is very convincing. It has holograms on it. Let me get this Dr. Tom out of here. Sorry. It's distracting me. It has like holograms on it. It looks really official. And I go, why would it come from Quikrete? This doesn't make sense. So he calls Quikrete corporate, and they're like, no, this isn't right. Also, the guy reached out to him and goes, hey, there was a mistake in payroll. I overcharged you, or I overpaid you for $1,000. You seem like a nice guy, so I'm just going to ask that you return the $1,000 and after you ship the gun. So he's like, we kind of figured out that this is a scam. So he called the police. The police goes, yeah, you got to call the FBI, but they're not going to really do anything either. They're going to write it down in their Excel spreadsheet that this is another incident of this. Like everything's we talked about with like job scams, a few weeks ago. Like they're getting so good that it's hard to know. Like if you are a few IQ points under the like average IQ, you're going to go cash that check. You're going to be on the hook for $1,700 and you're going to have to pay it back to the bank. Because I bet you could go in and cash that check at his bank and they might give him $1,700, but it's going to, in a few days, you're going to be like, hey, it bounced. And now you're on the hook for, it's your problem now. So you better have that $1,700 that you can give back. And hopefully you didn't send off your item to the person.
So you're going to have to, so you're saying that at least in the scam that your dad was a part of, he might cash the check, have to return that money, and also because they requested $1,000 more to be sent back, then you are out another $1,000 because you sent them the gun and the $1,000.
Yep. So that's the scam. They
really
really
both ends there. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they really double you up on the scam. So I guess what they do is say, hey, don't worry about sending cash, just send iTunes gift cards. Stuff like that, because I guess once they're purchased, they can't be reversed, and you have them, and so that's
Can
the
you
deal.
take iTunes gift cards and turn them into cash or something?
Well, they could sell them, yeah, for cash, sell them third party, or I guess potentially even use them if they wanted to. But I'm sure they just resell them. So yeah, they're getting a firearm and $1,000 in gift cards. Um, but it was so instead of just being like, well, I avoided a scam. That's good. And the guy has his address because he had to send him his address to get the check. So instead of just being like, well, good, I'm glad I didn't send it, and I can just tell him the pound sand and the check's fake, whatever. I've contacted the authorities. My dad is of a different breed. So he goes, I'm gonna mess with this guy a little bit. And I'm like, dude, first of all, it's in Texas. I don't know. I think it's in like Houston, with all the crazy stuff going on in Mexico right now, where people are just getting murdered down there left and right, including people that go over there for vacation that are Americans, not just people from Mexico. And the guy's name is, and I don't want to judge a book by its cover or anything, but I'm sorry, his name is Yoliam Robledo is the guy's name. Yoliam is a new one. It's like William, but Wolliam. I've never heard that name before. Arlington, Texas. Do you know the geography of Texas? How close or how far that is from the border?
No.
I think it's near Dallas, so it might be pretty far north. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's just a person of Mexican descent that lives in Texas. There are a lot of those. Or maybe he's head of a cartel. This is what I'm saying. Like, do you want to risk it right now with how crazy things are?
No. Yeah, definitely.
I don't want him to either. So he goes, so this is what he did. Obviously, the guy went through the process of sending him all this information and instructions, and here's what you need to do. Here's where I want you to send this, blah, blah, blah. So this is his answer here. Let's see if we can pull that up, add that to the stream. So this is what my father, am I gone? Oh, there we go. Can you see that, Anna?
Yeah.
He went and bought a Monopoly game so he could use the Monopoly money from the from the game to send this man Monopoly money. And he also
pay for the priority mail.
I think he's paying for the priority mail. I censored out the addresses, but he also put a very rude return address for him. He put let's see, 42722 Yo Mama Drive, and that's in Douchebag, Florida, 33778.
Is that his real zip code?
So he was like going through all of this. Yeah, that is his real zip code. He was going through all of this. He's like, I want to find a way so I can see his reaction. I want to put an air tag in there. I'm like, what are you going to do with that information? You know where he is. You have his address. You know where it's going. He goes, okay, yeah, well, I won't do the air tag, but I wish I could like put a camera in there and have it live stream his reaction. And I'm just waiting for, this camera to start recording, and it's in like a Breaking Bad meth dungeon. And it's like, a freaking cartel member seeing this and then vowing revenge to come back to Florida to kill this man because he called him a douchebag and sent him fake money and called him dumb. He goes, listen, I talked to the cops. The cops go, nah, they're not going to do nothing. They're just people who, scam people. They might call you and cuss you out, but that's all they're going to do. Oh, that's a good idea. Jason just had a great idea. Send one of those glitter bombs. I'm going to text that to my dad right now, Jason.
Did you send it yet or no?
I don't know. Let's find out. Let's do voice to text. Hey, did you send that package yet to that guy? You should get one of those glitter bombs and send it to him. Let's see what he says. He probably already he was really excited about it, so I'm sure he probably already got it out there. It's probably in the post as we speak. Thought he was very funny, though, with the Monopoly money and the Dum Dum lollipop. So I don't know. I hope that, nothing happens to him. Obviously, I don't want my dad to be murdered by the cartel. It would be good press for me. No?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Yes, it would be. I thought you were pausing, pregnant pause there. Yeah, no, it'd be great press for you. I just don't know if that's how you want to your 15 minutes of fame to be surrounding your father's murder.
No, that's not what I want. I would much rather him just say, "Woo, I'm glad I didn't send that firearm, and
Yeah.
I get to keep my money,
Yep.
and I just got to be more careful. Use this as a learning experience." Part of me respects that move of poking back, but I'm just like in this world now, like pre-COVID world, I'd be like, okay. But now people just like I see so many videos now online of I think we kind of touched on it last week.
People just on the edge.
Yeah. And just like murdering people, like going up to somebody and just shooting them. And it's crazy what you could see on the internet,
Right.
on Twitter or whatever. And I see it a lot. So I don't know. People are don't want to be disrespected now more than ever. So I feel like people will do things at an expense just to kind of prove a point now.
Well, spite is a real thing, right? I feel like a lot of times that's how crimes are calculated, and the people that commit them is they go, listen, I know I'm probably going to get caught. I know I'm probably going to have to incur costs myself for this. I might go to prison. I might die, but it's worth it to me because I'm going to impose a greater cost on somebody else. And that means something to me.
Yeah.
So, you see a lot of people who shoot up schools who maybe don't make it out. The shooter doesn't make it out alive. And thank God. Some of them do. But, they've made the calculation in their mind that they're going to get caught, and they're going to spend the rest of their life either dead or behind bars or on death row. And they've made that calculation. They go, that works for me. That shakes out in my favor. And those people are typically the people that have very little to lose and everything to gain. So I don't mess with people that don't have anything to lose, because those are the scary ones. Those are the ones that'll stab you for a pair of shoes because they don't care. They have nothing. So just be careful, Tim. Don't be dumb.
He did report that he goes, yeah, I thought about that, but I already got $50 invested in it and I don't want to spend any more. So that's why. But good idea, Jason. That would be good. Although that one might cause somebody to murder. If I got one of those, I'm not in a cartel, but if someone sent me one of those and I got glitter blown up in my face, I think I might kill somebody.
I put you over the edge for sure. So
he says it's out. He sent it out. It's in the post right now, heading to a cartel member to embarrass them for daring to try to pull one over on Timmy K. Not gonna happen. No, sir. No, sir. But I'm just glad he talked to me. Not that I'm like can get them all, but I was the one kind of going, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just doesn't seem. You're talking about taking a firearm and shipping it across state lines, like I don't know. But the form, it was a real gun shop, and he called it, and he was like, "Yeah, this is a real place." I guess the gun shop might have been real, and the form might have been real, because you still have to ship it across, and it has to be received. But the payment is where this kind of the big scam comes in.
Yeah.
813-693-2124, HMBradio.com, home_made_man. Maybe you're listening on Radio St. Pete and not the live stream that airs on around 6 p.m. on Sundays. So for our Radio St. Pete audience, hello from the past, because we're doing this live on April 19th. Do it around 4 or 5 p.m. somewhere in that wavelength. And of course, you can always get it on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you get podcasts, really, unless you got some weird podcast app that I'm not sure. But just use a normal one. Use Google Podcasts, use Spotify, use iTunes, stuff like that. It's definitely there. And I hope you'll subscribe to it and give it 5 stars and share it with your friends. That's very important. Anna, I also wanted to, I have the Indian wedding recap. I don't know if anyone's curious about that.
I would like to know, the only detail I would like to know is, did you dress up in traditional Indian garb, or did you puss out?
I wore a black jacket,
I know,
and a black tie. It was too soon. It was only a few days. Now the groom wore traditional Indian garb, and I did see some Indian folks in Indian garb, but most of them were kind of just wearing, normal, quote unquote, Western.
Most Indian people wearing Western clothing.
Yes. I thought it would have been fun, and maybe if I had a little bit more time, I would have done it. It was a Taylor Swift weekend during that whole thing, so a lot of Swifties in the building. It was at the Hyatt Hotel.
In the
Right,
building? Oh, you mean staying at the hotel?
people were coming from out of town, yeah, to stay at the, or maybe they were just, staycation type of thing, because it was really close. The room that I was in, um, I could see the
Raymond
state.
James?
Like I felt like I could throw a rock there. I was so close. So it was
The
really
Raymond James?
Raymond James. Yeah.
Is this by Water Street? The addition?
No, it's you had to go. It's like a weird. Like the only thing over there. I had to get off of. I don't even know what road. Memorial Causeway or
I thought you
something.
said it was a five-star hotel.
I don't know if it was really nice.
Okay, it wasn't then, because there's only one five-star hotel in Tampa, and it's the Addition. That's why I
Okay,
was
yeah, it wasn't that. I
yeah.
wasn't there. No, it was some weird. Like it was the only thing out there. They had brought some like you had to all of a sudden just turn off, and then like you went down one of those exit ramp type of things, and then you pretty much just took you to a hotel, and that was the only thing over there.
Yeah.
So it was really close, and there was they have a caste system in India that's more kind of pronounced, but we have one here too. The first thing that I saw was a mother, and I believe she had two daughters with her. The hotel was mobbed, like trying to get in there. There was a big line, of cars and stuff, people valeting. I don't need a valet. I can park my own car, thank you. So trying to get around that and navigate around. I finally did, and the first thing I saw was a woman grabbing the attention of a valet and going, "My car is right there." And she probably pointed to a vehicle, like I think it was a Range Rover that was about 50 feet away from where she was standing. And she wanted him to go get it as opposed to just walking over there and just getting in, starting it, and going to her destination, which I believe was a Taylor Swift concert. And I was like, wow, there is a group of people, even in this country, that know zero pain whatsoever, don't have to do anything for themselves ever.
That's pretty crazy, and she was willing to a tip for that, I suppose. Like,
I would assume so. I mean, that's kind of part of the deal.
I mean, I feel like that's almost like a best case scenario for the valet. You don't have to go very far, and you hopefully get at least a $10 tip.
He was running, like he was doing something.
They're always running. They're in great shape. They're usually between the ages of like 18 and 20, and they're boys, and they're running. But here's the thing: like, why would you want some sweaty kid in your nice freaking car? Like, you want a sweaty 20-year-old in your Ferrari, stinking it up, who's been outside all day, who has sweaty balls? I don't think so.
Johnny was telling me there's this show that he likes. It's called like Starboard or something, and it's about these people who get on these luxury yachts and they kind of charter them, and then there's a crew and they kind of follow the crew around. And there's a lot of times there's like these super elite, super rich people that they're like, hey, can you unpack my bag for me or pack my bag for me? I wouldn't want anybody to do that. I don't.
Don't touch my granny panties. Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, I'm totally cool with that. I'm down. Just go ahead and I bet you there's somebody out there who is wiping someone's rear end for them after they BM. Like it probably goes that deep.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're willing to pay for something, there's someone probably willing to do it for you. So
I don't get it, but yeah, that was my big observation from the wedding. It was a good time though. It was definitely a good time. I can't really tell you what I did, but I'll tell you off the air.
okay.
Had some fun at the wedding. I
I already know you did.
No, you don't.
I already know you did.
You might, but don't even say it because
I won't. I'll text it and you let me know if I'm in the ballpark.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. This is kind of inside baseball. It's kind of fun. Yes, correct. You do know. Fun ones.
I sent you another text.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
I know. Well, you tell me I don't know. I know.
I wonder if
No.
does everybody else know?
Yes. Well, there's only like two things it could be. It's a like 50-50 shot, and I got it right on the money as per usual.
Well, there's plausible deniability. Jason says Devil's Three-Way. No, sir.
Close.
No, absolutely not. Mark Carr says, hey.
What's
Hey,
up, Mark Carr?
Mark is going to take Diane out for a concert that she won tickets to. The lady who said the O word. He's going to entertain her.
How sweet is that? Mark's the best.
Yeah.
Mark
He
really is
rules.
the best.
813-693-2124, HMBradio.com. There was something I was looking for in my prep feed. I kind of just used the Johnny B shows one that I do. I wanted to take a quiz with you because I think it's really important. And let me pull it up here. And I would like you to participate in this quiz, Anna, because I feel like you might be this thing. Let me pull it up. Hold on. I'm my own producer here, so I'm sorry. I do awkward pauses sometimes. Here it is. Can you see it, Anna?
Yes.
Are you an ableist? This is by the Washington Post. And I want to take this quiz with you.
Okay.
So it says here, can you recognize when you're being ableist? Even well-meaning people can exhibit unconscious bias against people with disabilities. We're going to do this test with Kelly tonight because we moved woke news that we do to Wednesdays. So we could kind of get the leftist perspective a little bit in there because I feel like Johnny and I just kind of talk about how silly these things are. But sometimes people feel certain ways. And I thought Kelly would be a good representation of that. So we moved woke news to Wednesday so we can kind of get the other side of the argument. Although Kelly most of the time is like, yeah, that's crazy. So I wanted to do this test. We're going to do it with her tonight. But I also want to do it with you, Anna Hummel, because I feel like you might need some help. And I feel like you might be ableist. And I feel like we can change your behavior here today on this program. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. First question or first scenario is you see a blind woman at a busy intersection with no audible pedestrian signal. What do you do? Now, they give you options. Number one is ask her if she would like some help. Number two is avoid her. You're not sure how to approach a blind person.
B.
Or three, introduce yourself and take her arm to help her cross. Obviously, we know number two is wrong.
No. How do you know that? I'm not an ableist. I see no difference between the two of us.
Well, I mean, the situation is it's a busy intersection with no audible pedestrian signal. So she's kind of stuck. This blind woman is stuck. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't have the aids, to that she would normally kind of rely upon to get her across the street. So I feel like you're kind of in a situation where they want you to help. So I think number two is out of the question. But I feel like these other two are totally reasonable. Ask her if she would like some help or introduce yourself and take her arm to help her cross.
I think A is the right answer.
Anna says A. Ask her if she would like some help. Good
Hey.
choice. This is the least biased answer. People with disabilities say they prefer this approach. You shouldn't automatically assume someone needs help just because they have a disability. I went with when I took it, I said, introduce yourself and take her arm to help her cross. I figured you'd be like, hey, my name is so-and-so. I'm not going to hurt you type of thing. Just so you don't just,
Yeah, but then taking your arm is like, what are you dragging her across? Like, obviously you need to ask her.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in retrospect, but that was my, I guess I'm an ableist because that's what I picked. All right, moving on to scenario 2. A friend's adult daughter has an intellectual disability and is pregnant. The family is financially stable. What do you say to your friend? I like how they just give you 3 options here. Suggest genetic testing and possibly abortion if the child would be similarly disabled. Number 2, suggest adoption and ask her if she has thought about her daughter's ability to raise a child. Or number 3, congratulate her and offer support if she needs it.
I would say 3 minus part B of 3.
Offer support.
I'm not going to offer no support, but I'll be like, cool, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going with 3, I guess. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Anna says 3, good choice. 2 for 2. Anna, you are not ableist so far. This is great. This option avoids passing judgment on her ability to parent based on her disability. All parents, including non-disabled parents, are more successful if they receive the right support, but disabled parents are less likely to get support from other parents, according to the National Council on Disability. This is kind of accepting that framing, but yeah, that would be the right answer if that's how it's. But I mean, if they're intellectually disabled, they could like leave them in the bathtub or leave them in a car. They would be more likely to do that on a spot.
Not my problem.
Agreed, but I'm just saying, I think that would be the opposing view here.
Concern is racist.
It is. It's ableist, anyways. All right, Anna, scenario 3. You're making medical decisions for a friend with life-threatening injuries, but no advance directive. How would you advise the doctor? So I guess you have power of attorney here, I'm assuming. Ask for life-saving measures in all situations except brain death. Ask for life-saving measures except in the case of paralysis from the neck down. Or number 3, ask for life-saving measures except in the case of a brain injury and cognitive disability.
I don't know. I don't know, dude.
This one has you kind of tripping a little bit.
I would say A.
Now, would you? These are you're answering to not be ableist, right? But you probably feel differently.
No, I'm not. No, because I feel like maybe with the other 2, there's an argument to say that that person has the ability to experience joy. And who am I to listen? It's not good if they're paralyzed and if they're cognitively disabled, but does that mean that they can't experience some sort of joy? I don't know. I don't want to take that away from anybody. I would say if you're brain dead, you're pretty much dead. It's just the machine is essentially breathing for you, so you're effectively dead. So I would say that's probably just the best answer all around, because I don't think I'd be able to make a decision if they were technically alive on their own and I just was too lazy to like be their caretaker or find them some sort of care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't think it's a life worth living if I was cognitively disabled, perhaps. But then it depends how cognitively disabled are we talking, So I think A is just the safest choice.
I think you might be right. We're going to find out here in just a second. Well, let's just find out now. Anna, you're right. That is the least.
Dude, I know what I'm talking about because I'm.
Now, let me say this though, because you kind of run into these ideologies where they kind of butt up against each other. I would kind of agree with this. I agree with you can find joy, which everything you said I agree with. But like in Canada, they're just like, if you're sad, you should just kill yourself. Like we talked about that before, where they're just euthanizing certain people for not being terminally ill, but just because they're depressed or suicidal or something.
Right, that's a person making a call on their own body, not me making a determination.
Yeah. So I guess everything's okay then.
Yeah.
Scenario 4. You see a story on Facebook about a teen who has cerebral palsy who has been elected prom king. What is your reaction? Number 1, you share the post because it's heartwarming that teens would elect him prom king. Number 2, you find it inspiring that a person can overcome their disability and accomplish great things. Or number 3, you feel happy for the teenage boy and you move on.
What about option D, where you laugh your ass off and then you send the link to your friend and you guys laugh about it together?
That's not an option.
Oh.
They don't even consider that an option here. These are the 3 reactions that people would have. And that's it. That's the only reaction.
I'm going to go with option 3.
Anna says option 3. You feel happy for the teenage boy and move on. Oh my God, Anna, you are on fire.
Woo! You know why? I don't even have to read that, Will. I'm putting my hand over the thing. I don't even have to read that because you're assuming that they're incapable of, they're being brave. We shouldn't, they're just like everybody else, Will. I shouldn't have to point out the fact that they're different and oh my god, someone with a disability was able to accomplish something that's so surprising. No, it's stuff that everybody's thinking but no one should say. That's basically the premise of not being a racist, an ableist, a sexist, is you think all the same thoughts. Everyone in the room has the same thoughts. Oh, a black country singer, interesting. Oh, white guy that can jump high. Whoa, wasn't expecting that. You know, an Asian guy that's rapping. What's going on? But then you just pretend like, oh yeah, normal. It's totally normal. So that's basically what it means, Will.
You're right. That's precisely it. Yeah, some people with these disabilities have said, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you ever get out of bed. And it's not which it is. It is pretty insulting to say that. I mean, sometimes it feels like it's forced. I got to be honest, because now it's like every single prom is somebody who has some sort of thing. It's not just the football star who it used to be. Now it's an overcorrection where it's like everybody's got to have a thing now.
Yeah, it's kind of like the fat shit. You know, I remember Amy Schumer saying this. When she was posing like half nude on magazine covers, she would say it would be very insulting when people would commend her on being brave. She's like, why don't you commend the thin girl for being brave? Why are you commending me? Because I'm gross. And you're saying that it takes so much bravery for a gross person to put themselves out in such a provocative way. So it's actually rude, even though you're trying to compliment them. It's a backhanded it's actually an insult. So same thing kind of goes here, where you're like, wow, a guy with CP was able to like be popular, insane, you know. So it's the same premise.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. Scenario 5. I think there's only a few more here, Ada. You see someone on a dating app who is attractive and shares your interest. Then you realize that they have a physical disability. What do you
Swipe
do?
left.
Which is the bad one?
Swipe left.
Well, that's not I don't think that's it. Let's see. These are the options. Be honest with yourself if you don't think you can date someone with a disability.
I think it's A, dude.
Number 2, ask them on a date and see where it goes. Or number 3, you realize this person has probably been rejected by others and decide to go on the date. So you kind of feel bad for them.
You go A. You go A, 100%. Final answer.
I think it might be B. But this is your test. I was right. It was B. You should do it anyways and see what happens. Rejecting this person because of their disability wrongly assumes that dating them is inherently worse than dating someone without a disability. So you got to at least give it the old college try.
Oh, so try and then let them be disappointed when you don't call them on a second date.
Correct.
That sounds good.
This is kind of for you where you're just like, I tried and just didn't feel it.
And that's somehow worse by rejecting them after you've met them in person than never reaching out to them at all. Like that's somehow worse. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to take any more of these. This is stupid, but we'll do a couple more.
All right. I think, let's see. We got 6, 7. There's only 2 more.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Scenario 6, you found a job candidate with the right experience. Then they tell you that they are deaf and request transcription or interpreting services. What would you do? Would you ask them
who it is?
ask them if they can do the interview without these accommodations? Number 2, cancel the interview. You feel bad about it, but you don't think a deaf person could do the job. Or 3, call human resources to help set up the requested accommodations.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that they want you to say C.
Yes.
But I would like to hire someone for the least amount of money and resources. So if I could hire someone who could do the job that I don't have to hire someone else as a translator, then that's what I'm going to do. But we'll just say C because we're in HR.
Yeah, because that's the right answer, of course. Good choice. This is the least I like the framing here, biased answer. So the least biased answer is the way that this Washington Post writer thinks. And that's the right way, you see. You brought up a good point there, though. I mean, these services typically cost money, and even if they're taxpayer funded, they still cost money, okay? There's no such thing as free. And if you're a struggling business, that might not be this major corporation, every penny might count. at this point. But no, you still have to make the expense and cater to people no matter whatever they need. You need to do.
Yeah, because $1 you spend on this person, you can't spend on something else.
Correct.
With someone else. So
correct. Scenario 7. Which of these terms would you use for your child if they had autism and required some support? Would you say they're autistic and disabled, special needs and differently abled, or you choose not to label your child?
Well, I would have had an abortion, but since that's not an option, clearly they want you to say C.
Yes. I don't know. It could be B too.
I think I think they want you to choose C. I would choose B so that people don't think my kid's an a-hole, so that the people around him aren't like being mean because they're like, this guy's rude. So I would say let's go with B. Hell, let's go with B.
I don't know. This might be it. No, I guess it is.
Wait, what?
Oh, it says the right answer is autistic and disabled. What?
Did you click on the wrong one? Oh.
No, I clicked on this one. Special needs and differently abled. No, they said just say autistic and disabled.
Oh, because there's nothing wrong with the word disability. Is that what they're going to say?
You said
there it is. Yeah.
Tiptoe around the word disability. I thought this was a thing though. Differently abled, and now it's totally changed again. The language has changed. So now you're allowed to say that again. Emily Ledoux, an author of disability rights activist, argues that using terms like differently abled rather than disabled reinforces the idea that having a disability is bad. So we're looping back around. We're coming. Yes, of course, words mean things. It's not a negative term. It just is a word to imply the thing.
Which is really odd because, then can we just start saying the N-word? We're like, it's just a word.
No.
What's wrong with it? I mean, it's just a word. They use it among each other. It's just a word.
That word is a slur, though. Even this is what drives me nuts about even the R word is one that gets really that can be used as a slur, yes, but it also is in the dictionary and it means to slow something, right? Something's a little slower.
To go in reverse, to slow down, yeah.
Yeah, so that's always
talking about this with my boyfriend the other day, and he was talking about a plane landing, and they start using that word because they can either throttle it or retard it.
Right.
So which one you're supposed to do? And that's literally how they talk when they're landing. I forget what it was, certain types of planes. But of course, the woke media and mafia is attached to this, and now they want to start changing the diction that these pilots use. So crazy.
Yeah, like I said, it's a word. So you can just use another word. You can use differently abled, but everybody knows that means this. It just means that same thing that you're trying to ban. It's not a slur. It's just what is that? What frame? Is it an adjective? It just describes a noun type of thing. It is a descriptor. It doesn't necessarily imply negative. Yes, it is on the negative side of the, I don't even know how to explain it. But it doesn't mean it's a slur,
No. It's funny. It reminds me of the Louis C.K. bit where he's watching the news and the woman keeps saying the N-word, and he's like, well, every time you say that, I'm saying this word in my head. You're making me say it in my head. And it's the same sort of thing where it's no, you're making me say the R word or something else,
I wonder if we'll loop back around where these words will just be people are being too crazy about them. It's just an adjective. Yes. Calm down. You got a 5 out of 7, Anna.
Not bad.
Suggests you have an understanding of disability. So good job. According to Washington Post, you're pretty good.
Takes one to know one, I guess,
Is this the I want to see who the writer of this thing is. I always like to look at what they look like. Amanda Morris. Let's check her out. Yep, that's about what I thought right there. And let's check out Chris. Come on, internet. Oh, Chris, he's a graphic. He has nothing to do with it. It's Amanda who's the writer of this thing. Disability.
Thanks, Andy.
Yes. So you should listen to Amanda and don't be a ableist. Okay. Anna, thank you for your time today. That was a real pleasure. Good times. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Matt and Mandy. It's a pleasure. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.